Hello students, good evening. Welcome you all to a new video of Sunanda's tutorial. So it is a very special video for SSB TGT aspirants, those who have their examination tomorrow. So in this video we will discuss the whole botany syllabus of your TGT SSB TGT examination 2024. So let's start. The unit 1 is your plant diversity and endangered species, their conservation. So at first, what is taxonomy? It is the science of identifying any living organism, whether it is a plant or animal, then classifying or categorizing them into groups, then naming or nomenclature. Then in 1935, Carolus Linnaeus created a hierarchical classification system that places all organisms into successively smaller groups that assume organisms within a specific group resemble one another more than organisms within a different groups. So the lower group which share common features among themselves is species. Some species grouped to form are grouped to form the genus. Then some genus constitute family. Many families constitute order. Then many orders constitute a class. Then many classes constitute phylum, or in case of plants it is division. Then many division constitute either plant kingdom or animal kingdom. So it is the hierarchical classification system proposed by Carolus Linnaeus at first. Then what is classification? Classification is the process of arrangement of organism, both living and extinct, into groups based on similar characteristic features. Then what is binomial nomenclature? At first, what is nomenclature? Nomenclature means naming of a plant or animal, or provide a plant or animal a name. So the system of binomial nomenclature was introduced by Carl Linnaeus or Carolus Linnaeus. Actually, multiple local names make it extremely difficult to identify an organism globally and keep a track of number of species. In earlier, it was very difficult to identify an organism because they have multiple local names. So it creates a lots of confusion. To get rid of this confusion, a standard protocol was developed. According to it, each and every organism would have one specific name which would be used by everyone to identify an organism. This process of standardized naming is called binomial nomenclature. According to this binomial nomenclature, each scientific name, according to binomial nomenclature, each living organism, whether it is a plant or animal, should be provided with one scientific name, and each scientific name has two parts, one generic name and the second one is specific name or specific epithet, generic epithet and specific epithet. The rest of the binomial nomenclature rules for writing the scientific name of organism include the following. At first, all scientific name of organisms are usually in Latin, hence they are written in italics. There exist two parts of a name. The first word identifies the genus and the second word identifies the species. When names are handwritten or written manually, they are underlined or italicized if typed. I am giving you one example. Suppose the scientific name of mango is Mangifera indica. So in case of Mangifera indica, Mangifera is the genus name or generic epithet and indica is the specific epithet or species name. When we write this manually or in our copy, we should underline them separately. But when it is in printed form in book, they are italicized or in italics. The name of the genus starts with the capital letter and the name of the species starts with the small letter. Okay. And Mangifera indica is the botanical name or scientific name of mango. Okay. Then the earliest system of classification used only gross superficial morphological characters such as habit, color, number of flower, number of leaves, shape of leaf. They were based mainly on the vegetative character such as androecium structure, which was which was first considered by Linnaeus to classify the whole plant kingdom. Such systems were artificial, which were based on the morphological characteristic features. They separated the closely related species since they were based on a few characteristic features. Also, the artificial system gave equal weightage to vegetative and sexual characteristics. This is not acceptable since we know that often the vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. So we can't consider only vegetative characteristic features to classify organisms. Then as against this, natural system of classification developed, which were based on natural affinities among the organisms and consider not only the external features but also the internal features like ultrastructure, anatomy, embryology as well as phytochemistry. That means what are the secondary metabolites present inside the body of the plant or animal. Such system of classification of flowering plants was first given by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker, and it is the most widely accepted classification system. That is your Bentham Hooker system of classification, which is a natural system of classification. At present, phylogenetic classification system based on evolutionary relationship between various organisms are acceptable. This assumes that organisms belonging to same taxa have a common ancestor. So this type of classification, phylogenetic classification, is based on the evolutionary relationships between the organisms. Then classification of plant kingdom. So in your syllabus you have the classification of plant kingdom. So at first Eichler provided the one systematic classification of plant kingdom. So Eichler included algae, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm and angiosperms under the plant kingdom, and according to him the whole plant kingdom is divided into cryptogams and phanerogams. Cryptogams are non-seed producing plants which include Thallophyta, which have thallus like plant body. Under Thallophyta algae and fungi is present. Then Bryophyta, then Pteridophyta. Bryophyta lack vascular system in them, so they are known as non-vascular cryptogams. Then Pteridophyta, which are vascular cryptogams. Then phanerogams, which are seed producing plants. Under phanerogams gymnospermy and angiospermy is there. So it is the whole plant division or classification of plant kingdom which was proposed by Eichler. So at first cryptogams, this group of plants lack flowers and seeds. Reproduction in these plants takes place by spores. This subkingdom includes three divisions: Thallophyta, Bryophyta and Pteridophyta. At first Thallophyta, they are simplest and most primitive plants. The plant body is undifferentiated into root, shoot and leaf, so called as a thallus. Thallus means undifferentiated plant body. Sex organs may be absent or are usually unicellular and non-jacketed. Embryo formation is totally absent. Vascular tissue is absent. Division Thallophyta is further subdivided into algae and fungi. Then bryophytes. Bryophytes do not have vascular tissue, so known as non-vascular cryptogams. Plant body has root-like, stem-like, leaf-like structure, but they lack true root, true stem and true leaf. Bryophytes are terrestrial plants but are known as amphibians of plant kingdom as they require water for reproduction. It is a very, very important point. Bryophytes are known as amphibians of plant kingdom. They are present in moist and sandy places. They include moss, horn rot, liver rot. Some common example of bryophytes are Markansia, Funaria, Sphagnum, Anthoceros. Then Pteridophyta, they have well differentiated plant body into root, stem and leaf. They have vascular system for conduction of water. Some common examples are Selaginella, Equigetum, Pteris, etc. Marsilia. Then phanerogams. Phanerogams or spermatophyta, which have flower as well as seed. Two main groups are included under phanerogams. One is gymnosperm, which are known as naked seeded. Naked seeded means they have ovules, that means seed, but which are not enclosed in a systematic ovary or fruit wall because they lack fruit. Generally, in angiospermic plant, we have fruits, and inside that fruit, we have seeds. But gymnosperms lack seeds. They have simple flowers, but without accessory holes. They have flowers, reproductive organs, but they lack accessory hole. Accessory hole like calyx and corolla. Microphylls and microsporophylls and megasporophylls are arranged in cones, but there is male cone and female cone, but in case of cycas, which is one gymnosperm, they lack female cone. The ovules are directly pollinated by pollen grains. They do not have ovary style stigma. Okay, then angiosperms, they are seed bearing vascular plants with well differentiated plant body. The seeds of angiosperms are enclosed within fruits. Angiosperms are widely distributed and vary greatly in size. For example, in Ulfia is a small angiosperm, is the smallest angiosperm actually, which is about 0.1 centimeter, but Eucalyptus, which is around 100 meter tall. So the size varies greatly. Angiosperms are further divided into monocotyledons and dicotyledons according to the number of cotyledons present in their seeds. Some common examples are mango, rose, tomato, onion, wheat and maize. So it is all about your classification of plant kingdom and what is nomenclature. Next we have endangered species and their conservation measures. So at first, what is endangered species? It can be defined as those species which are at risk or threat of being extinct. In other words, species which are about to extinct, which are facing the problem of extinction. Many factors are responsible for this, which may be natural or man-made or anthropogenic. Endangered species sooner or later enter into the extinction phase. For example, African savanna elephant. Endangered plants are any living species of plant vulnerable to extinction shortly, either globally or in a specific geographical locations. Out of 1.9 million living species of flora and fauna, about 0.7 million are plants only. According to the Guardian newspaper, 40%, around 40% of existing plants await extinction. The loss of endangered plant species annually will threaten the supply of food, fuel and medicine. A living species become endangered when its population shrinks or reduced significantly in recent years. The decline is continuous without a check or control. Its geographical range also sharply shrinks. IUCN, International Union of Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources, devised a plan in 1994 to classify endangered species of plant and animal into following categories. One is critically endangered. There is a 90% decline in population in 10 years. They are categorized into critically endangered. Then endangered, there is a 50% decline in population in 10 years. Then vulnerable, there is 30% decline in population in 10 years. Then near threatened, some are least concerned, then some are extinct in wild, then some are extincted. Then the causes of plant species becoming endangered. At first, the cause number 1 is habitat loss. It is the biggest cause of the endangered plant. Human activities like agriculture, deforestation, mining, wars and hydel projects destroy plant habitat. Sometimes their habitat gets fragmented, which results in their extinction. Then invasive species, the plantation of exotic species can adversely affect the local plants population. Exotic plant outstrips the local plant in competing for mineral space and gradually drives the latter or the local plant to extinct. For example, British colonial rulers introduced Congress grass, that is Parthenium, in India. Then commercial use, sometimes commercial exploitation has endangered several plants. Then pollution is the major cause of extinction. Then natural causes like wildfires, drought, flood, landslides also endangered plants. Then any disease, then human wildlife conflict can cause the extinction of plant species. Then these are some list of endangered plant species of India. Please remember these names of these species, plant species. Then some laws which are formulated to protect endangered plant species. The first law or act is Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Then CITES, also known as Washington Convention, it aims to impact moral and legal responsibility to member countries to protect endangered species in their respective jurisdictions and prevent trans-border trades. Then Endangered Species Act 1973 of USA. The US Congress passed the Endangered Species Act in 1973 that envisages all states to protect endangered species of plant and animal. Also, it prohibits the import, export, and consumption of plant, animal, fishes listed as threatened or endangered. So these are about the endangered species and the causes of their extinction, or the why they are threatened, and then different rules to control the extinction. So next, how to conserve the biodiversity. So, biodiversity conservation is the protection, preservation, management, and restoration of wildlife and natural resources such as forest, water bodies, etc. Survival of many species and habitats which are threatened due to human activities can be ensured through conservation of biodiversity. There is an urgent need not only to manage and conserve the biotic wealth but also to restore the degraded ecosystem. So, there are two methods of conservation. One is in situ conservation. Under in situ conservation, national park, wildlife sanctuary, biosphere reserves, sacred forest and lakes are present. At first, what is in situ conservation? It is the on-site conservation or conservation of genetic resources in their natural habitat. Then ex situ conservation. Ex situ conservation means the conservation of any species away from their natural habitat. And different methods of ex situ conservation are as follows, like seed gene bank, cryopreservation, that means preservation in low temperature, then tissue culture bank, long term captive breeding, then botanical gardens and zoological gardens. So these are different methods of conservation of biodiversity. You should remember about different methods of in situ and ex situ conservation methods of biodiversity. So here your unit 1 is completed of your SSB TGT Botany syllabus. Next, the unit 2. I have already discussed the unit 2 tissue system. Again, I have discussed the whole chapter of photosynthesis. Then I have discussed growth in plants, the whole unit of growth in plants. Then also discussed Mendelism. In the description box, I have provided the links of these videos. Please watch those videos. So only 2 units left, then reproduction in plants and plant diseases and control measures. I will discuss these 2 units in the evening. So please stay tuned and please like my video, share with your other TGT aspirants and subscribe to my channel Sunanda's Tutorial. Thank you.